So tonight we are talking about AI.
Can be both a threat and an opportunity for artists creating art.
You are entering the Urban Suite with Dr. Lisa LaCon. Let's talk about urban issues plaguing our community.
Good to hear. That's good to hear.
Let's talk about mental health.
Good night, my urbanites. You have entered the Urban Suite with me, Dr. Lisa LaCon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Listen, tonight we have a wonderful, fantastic show. I should have bought my tissue, my Kleenex, whatever, because it really did my heart so well. What happened in the past week on the campus of my alma mater, Hampton University. So we're going to get into that after a word from our sponsor, Blessed Ministries Incorporated, the premier workforce development agency in the state of New Jersey, as well as our missing person for the week. So we're going to discuss all of that when we come back. After these messages, stick with us. Urban Tools for Change Network is sponsored by Blessed Ministries Incorporated, BMI, the premier workforce development agency in the state of New Jersey. We are here to serve you. If you have a history of being on parole, if you are on probation, if you are an adult with a disability, if you are a youth with a disability and you're looking for employment, come check us out at 973-733-WORK. So again, BMI sponsors Urban Tools for Change Network. All right, so we are now in our missing person segment, and this is a segment that I do every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every time I go live. And it is at this point where I need you to like, I need you to share, I need you to tell folks about Urban Tools for Change Network, because we are going forward and we are growing. So this week, who do we have missing? We have Miss Mariah Cherry Goodwin. Miss Mariah Cherry Goodwin has been missing since October the 30th, 2023, from my hometown of Washington, D.C. Listen, you Washingtonians, I need you at this point to share this information. I need you to look at her picture, her face. She's only 12 years old. She has been missing since October the 30th, 2023. Mariah Cherry Goodwin. She's 12. She's missing from Washington, D.C. She's a female. Her race is black. Her complexion is light. She's 5'6". She's 160 pounds. Her hair color is black. Her hair length is shoulder length, and her eye color is brown. Mariah was last seen in the 1700 block of W Street Southeast on October the 30th, 2023. Circumstances of her disappearance is unknown. It is unknown at this time. Listen, anyone with information, please contact the Metropolitan Police Department. And that number is area code 202-727-9099. Listen, it's area code 202-727-9099, or you can contact BAMFI, Black and Missing Foundation Incorporated. You can contact them directly at 877-97-BAMFI, which translates to 22634. So I know my Spotify family, my iHeartRadio family, my Amazon, Google Podcast family, you cannot see her face. But again, I'm going to repeat the number so that you all will have this number for Mariah Cherry Goodwin. And the telephone number is area code 202-727-9099. She's been missing from Washington, D.C. since October the 30th, 2023. I need you all to do me a favor. I need you all to share this video. Please, please, please. This is someone's child. This is someone's loved one. She's only 12 years old. All right, so it's interesting because I found that, and you all know I don't not say anything about me not coming from DC, born and raised in Washington, DC. And I have to say, I had a phenomenal childhood in Washington, D.C. However, when I was about 16 or 17, I did struggle with a bout of depression, whereas I had suicidal ideations, meaning I had suicidal thoughts. I had an idea. The idea, that's where ideations come from. The idea about committing suicide was very real for me. I don't know what it was. I just felt like, I don't know, there was a sense of heaviness, a sense of hopelessness, a sense of, I don't know. It's just, at that time, my urbanites, I'm going to be very transparent. I was in an abusive relationship with a young man, and I felt awful. I felt awful. I felt like there was no way out. And I had all of these suicidal thoughts. And I think as I speak with you about this right now, I think what happened back then was, I think that there was no way out of that situation. That was my thought process. There was no way out until, I have to be honest, until I went to Hampton University. I'm a little emotional because attending Hampton University, it literally changed my life on so many levels. So many levels. I had potential as a student. I had fun with my classmates. I loved school, and I just was adventurous. But that depression, it just Really, it was like a dark cloud where I really thought there was no hope. There was no joy. There was no hope. There was nothing in my life at that time, 16, 17, that I looked forward to. Praise God, you have a helpmate. He loves God and sure loves him some. Oh, thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so very much. But it was a very dark path for me during that time. And I have to say that in that abusive relationship, what it did for me was it took my self-esteem away. It took me understanding and believing in myself. And remember, I'm only 16 or 17. And I really wonder how many 16-year-olds or 17 young men who had goals and we had fun and it was a wonderful learning environment and it was near the water. That's why it's called Home by the Sea. And I talk about my love of water. I did most of my dissertation by the water because that's where I can write. That's where I can think. That's where I can become, me, my whole self, and get my healing from that. It was Hampton. So I understand, especially now as a clinician working with people with disabilities, that typically the onset of disabilities happens pretty much for students in college, that 21 to 24 year age. That's when the onset of disabilities typically manifest. So they may manifest and you may be diagnosed with schizophrenia or bipolar. Those are primarily the two ones, or depression. So after I acclimated myself to Hampton and everything, it was fantastic. It just went away. I had no therapy because, to be perfectly honest, back then in the late 80s, early 90s, as the Black community, we did not talk about therapy. We did not talk about therapeutic assistance to make us feel better. We just talked about take it to the Lord in prayer, or we just kind of poo-pooed it. We, ignored it in a sense. But I have to say now, I thank God for the tools that exist. That's why this network is called Urban Tools for Change, because there are certain tools that you have to use for certain things. You cannot use the tool of a toothpick to build a house. However, it is a tool when you have food in your mouth. All right. So you have all these different tools that you use for different things. And for me, it was writing. For me, it was exercising. And, people always ask me, how do you stay so fit and trim? I've been working out since the 8th grade. All right. So basically, that's my tool. Exercising, being by the water, all of those things. So fast forward, oh my gosh, till today, unfortunately, I don't know if it's a crisis or not, but our young babies are becoming very depressed. Maybe there's a lot of confusion out there, and I want to be real about their sexual identity that could be causing it and some other issues. But college students are becoming unwell, and I don't really have a pulse on it, why this is happening. I can speculate, but I have not read any hardcore data to support anything, like to support my speculations. So I don't know, but I just know what I see. And what I see is a lot of students right now are battling with depression. So This past week, Taraji P. Henson, if you don't know who she is a Washingtonian, and she is a phenomenal actress. Phenomenal. I am so proud of her, and I am so proud of the work that she's doing. She and her very best friend, Tracy J. Jenkins, also a Washingtonian. I'm just so proud of what they are doing. Let me read you what has happened since 2018, what Taraji P. Henson has been doing with her foundation, the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, which is named after her dad, who struggled with mental health challenges. All right, so she's celebrating 5 years of service, the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, and from this point forward, I'll just say BLHF, will continue to make bold and revolutionary change. As the pioneering Black mental health advocacy group in the United States, the BLHF, founded by Academy Award and Emmy-nominated actress and advocate Taraji P. Henson, provides access, I love this, to localized and culturally competent therapy resources through a network of clinicians and service providers, counselors, and thought leaders. So here we have a picture with our President Darrell Williams, and First Lady Myra Williams on the campus of Hampton University. That's Taraji P. Henson in the center. And what they are doing is they have an initiative called She Pods, Sheep Care Pods, and it's a wellness pod. And we're going to show later on pictures inside these pods. And basically, let me go on to read. Through the support of donors and partnerships, BLHF offers services including free therapy for African Americans, mental health scholarships to increase the pipeline of Black clinicians. Typically, we hear the whole pipeline to prison. Well, we want to turn that around, all right? Turn it around and have it pipeline of Black clinicians. Curtis, bring up, please, these statistics. According to Zippia, 55.4% of all psychiatrists are women, while 44.6% are men. The average psychiatrist age is 48 years old. The most common ethnicity of psychiatrists is white at 64.3%, followed by Asian, 18%, Hispanic or Latino, 9.5%, and Black or African American at 5.3%. So this is why she's doing this, to increase the pipeline of Black clinicians, scholarships, so that they can go to school at a reduced cost or no cost at all. That is very important. And this is why I say to our community, listen to what I'm getting ready to say. This is why I say to our community, rather than try to attract equality, we have to try to attract wealth. It is scholarships. It is being funded so that these students can go rather at a lower cost or no cost at all, so that we can increase our numbers of culturally competent mental health providers. And that's the key, culturally competent. So listen to this. New for 2023, BLHF has launched the Boris L. Henson Foundation She Care Wellness Pods. Can you put that picture up of the signage, please? That is the signage. She Care Wellness Pods, which fall under the umbrella initiative of Meeting You Where You Are. This empowering concept provides hassle-free access. Listen to this. Hassle-free access to mental wellness resources in traditional and non-traditional spaces where African Americans convene. These are some pictures of this pod. And this pod is a beautiful space where students, female students on the campus of Hampton University can become well. That's the inside of the pod. And it's conducive. You can do yoga, you can meditate, you can speak with a counselor. I love the work that they're doing. And if you want more information about her foundation, it's www.borislhensonfoundation.org. That is the website, www.borislhensonfoundation.org. And, you know, she's doing rounds with various HBCUs. The first pod was located at Alabama State University. This one is at, of course, Hampton University. And I'm not certain where the next pod will be. But I'm telling you, this was a beautiful, beautiful event. Let's see her speak a little bit at this event.
You to be the only one having issues.
That's right.
That's just not how it works. So once you know you're not alone, then there's relief. The problem may not be fixed, but you survive to fight another day. Because there's always going to be storms. I know y'all look at me and think my life is perfect, but I'm going to tell you, and I love to say this, like the great guru, Biggie Smalls. More money, more problems, and I mean that. It's not easy living your life under a microscope. And now I feel sorry for you babies in the future because now everything is being watched. Mm-hmm. You cannot make a mistake. You can't simply be human or you will fall into the danger of being canceled. Mm-hmm. And I hate that term cancel. I hate cancel culture. It should be counsel culture.
Amen. Amen.
No one is perfect. We all have skeletons. We all have our shortcomings. Nobody is perfect. Everybody poo-poo stinks.
Amen.
I'm so y'all know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I love us. I have not been on social media a lot because I have to protect my mental.
That part.
You know, I'm such an empath. I feel things, and it affects me in ways where I can't sleep. It affects my mood. It skyrockets my anxiety. So I have to really protect my mental wellness, and I advise you all to do that. I pray for us because this social media thing is a great thing, but it's a bad thing. And for the young ones coming up, you know, I just want you to know that those perfect lives that people portray on social media, those are filtered, right? Just like a lot of the pictures are filtered and photoshopped and things like that. So even though it's easy to say that,
I'm telling you, it was just beautiful, beautiful. And she is so passionate about this endeavor. Now, this endeavor was made possible because she's collaborating with Spade New York. Now, you all know I love my little bit of fashion. I have my little Lululemon jacket on, my turtleneck. I forgot the name of it. But anyway, I love little fashion, right? I love quiet luxury items. And Kate Spade to me is one that personifies quiet luxury items. Her accessories, her shoes, everything is so cute. Unfortunately, she also battled with depression for most of her life. And a lot of people did not know. A lot of people had no idea that she battled with depression. And in 2018, she took her life in New York. And it really shocked the community. I was shocked. I was taken aback. I was like, I could not believe it. So it's interesting that Kate Spade took her life in 2018, while at the same time, in the same year, Taraji P started with her best friend as the executive director, Tracy J. Jenkins, in 2018. So they're collaborating to have these wellness pods on HBCU campuses. And I just think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I could tell the passion behind Taraji P. Henson, as well as the executive director. Listen, we all grew up in DC around the same time. And there were, unbeknownst to probably all of us, people that had, they were struggling with a mental illness. But we didn't know anything about mental illnesses. We had no idea. We just chalked it up as perhaps they needed a word from the Lord. They were just a dime short. We kind of belittled what they were experiencing. And at that time, there was a psychiatric hospital, St. E's or St. Elizabeth. That's how it St. E's. And it was a large hospital. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the man that wanted to try to assassinate Ronald Reagan, John Hinckley Jr., I believe he was a patient there. So this hospital, it was a huge hospital. They closed it. I don't know what they did with, where the patients went, if they went elsewhere or they went in supportive housing. But during that time in DC, there was, looking back now through a different lens, through a professional lens, I really understand and know that there were so many people that dealt with a mental illness. And then on top of it, you bring in these substances like crack. It decimated our community. So I applaud the work that they're doing. I applaud her bravery. I applaud her vulnerability, because you just saw her crying, like tearing up. It was just, she's in it to win it. And like she said, she loves us. She loves her people. She loves her community. She loves her culture. And I'm telling you, there's something about people from DC back then. We have a sense, an obligation of being true blue to our culture, true blue to our community, because that's how and what we were in. We had African-American Black educators. We had African-American Black doctors. We had African-American, all of these things. We lived as if we had a little silos of our own of Black greatness.
Dr. Lisa.
Yes.
One good thing is that these services are available, but there's two things. One is that people don't always know that the services are available. You know what I mean? Because like they don't know that there's just things that can help you and stuff. Like they don't know, like if we weren't doing this program, how many people would, outside of that came to the thing, like how many people would know about all these services unless other people talk about them and promote them. That's
right.
One thing. But then also to talk about the idea that sometimes people don't think that they need these services or don't think that like that type of stuff is for us.
Right.
So we talk about them two things.
So your first point, the wonderful thing, and this is what she was talking about with social media. There's a good and a bad because she made contrasting things. There's hot, there's cold, there's love, there's hate. Social media has the same thing, good, bad. So they have been doing a lot of marketing via social media where young people reside in the social media realm, which is on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is very popular. Social media has been really good with targeting and advertising BetterHelp, even on TikTok. So with TikTok, it depends on your algorithms. So if you're not looking for it, it's not going to show up. But this is why we have this platform. And this is why I tell people to share. It doesn't cost anything for you to hit the share button. It is free to share information. And I'm saying this because I get very frustrated, and you can tell in my voice, people don't hit the share button and they keep this information to themselves. And to me, it's a point of you being selfish. Share the information. It does not cost anything to share. You just pick up your phone, go in front of the computer, hit the share button. You don't even have to write a message. You just hit share, share, share. Share this message. And then what was your second one?
That people from our community especially don't feel like we need psychological help sometimes, or like we didn't, those services was available back then, in the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. It's just that, there were more white therapists and stuff like that, but the services kind of were available, just that that wasn't an outlet. That wasn't
no, they were not available.
Okay, not as good and stuff like that. It's just that it wasn't.
No, you know why they weren't available?
Why is that?
We didn't have the financial resources.
Oh yeah, okay. That's true.
So they were not available. And this is why
healthcare wasn't paid for.
That is correct. And this is why I'm saying we have to stop attracting equality and start attracting wealth. It cost back then, and it wasn't under any type of insurance plan for these services. This was not a conversation that we had around the dinner table. Oh, how was your therapy today? Oh, mine was fine. Did you see your therapy? Did you see Dr. whatever the name is? No, we didn't have that option.
But it was also looked at too like
for a second. The only thing we really had was prayer.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
We had prayer, going to the church, speaking with the pastor, speaking with the people, at the church. But the truth of the matter is they weren't professionals. They weren't professionals to deal with, the trauma. Why are you experiencing this trauma? They weren't professional enough to say, perhaps you're dealing with this because X, Y, and Z. They didn't have that at that time. So
do you think the attitude towards therapy has changed for Black people?
Absolutely.
Now, older Black people, or what age groups do you think?
I think it's across the board. And I say that this is only, anecdotal information for me. Just my daughter and her friends, they talk about their therapists like, oh, I can't go shopping. I have to see my therapist. Like, it's just like, I can't go shopping. I have to go to the hair salon. And that could be possibly the area that we live in where, fortunately, thank God, we have the financial means. A lot of the parents that, we're affiliated with are professional. Some of them are in the field. So in my little bubble, it's kind of common.
But also, too, you see more people, it talked about more on social media, TikTok and all that stuff too. People
Yes.
do talk about mental health issues
Yes.
much differently than they used to back in the day.
Absolutely. And I think with the death of, what is his name? The dancer?
Oh, yeah. That what's the name's dancer from that show, from the show?
Right.
From Ellen's
Yeah.
show.
What is his name? Anybody?
I don't follow. Yeah. It's a weird name. B dot or something, be somebody or something, be something.
I
I
cannot
can't remember. I'm sorry. I don't
But
watch it.
we've had a couple of people that.
Oh, the beauty pageant lady too.
That's right. Absolutely right.
Come
Yeah.
on now. Like,
We've had a couple. Yeah. Regina King. Is it King? Regina King's son?
her son. Yeah.
Her son, so it's not foreign to us, and it's not new. Now, I have to say, growing up, I really didn't hear of anyone in our community
But
committing
it existed. Like,
right. It just may not have been reported.
like, come on, like there wasn't people that had mental issues back then. Like that, there's always been people with mental issues. Like that's always been a thing.
Yeah.
So we just looked at it differently as what the cause of the problem was and like how to deal with it.
Right. Like I said, I think back then we looked at the cause of the problem was that they were under a demonic attack.
Devil, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. It's the devil. Just lay hands on them, throw some holy water on them, pray, jump up and down 10 times, and you'll be fine. But it takes sometimes more than that. I think perhaps in terms of a population of the Black community, perhaps the veterans receive some type of treatment. But again, that's a specialized, you had the insurance for it. But then some veterans of the Black community, they were treated awful. Like they didn't even get the treatment that they deserved when they came home after war.
Right. But also too, going back to your first point about young people being in toxic relationships, like think about all the examples of relationships they get in social media. Like, do they even know they're in a toxic relationship? Like you're saying, like they think that's normal.
Well, I think, see, the thing for me, when I was in that relationship, I knew it was toxic, but I wore a mask not to reveal or to hide the toxicity. I knew in my gut, I knew deep down in my core that it was a toxic relationship. And I know, and I really believe most people in their gut, in their core, they know that something's not quite right. But they may not know how to get out of it. When they put their heads on the pillow at night and it's very quiet, or when they're looking in the mirror at themselves and no one else is around, there are no distractions, and they start to listen to whatever voice that's inside of them. Sometimes I think people really believe what I'm doing, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah. But that's why I feel like people don't want those quiet times. They want to, they list, like, that's why they want the loud music, just keeping their mind off of stuff. That's why they use distractions. They want to see other people's drama so that their drama don't seem that bad. It's like you be in drama, but then you just watch people that's in worse drama, so then your drama doesn't really feel like anything anymore. I can watch all the toxicity all day long. You know what I mean? Like all these other people got more money than me. You're saying and they got more toxicity than me. So I must not be that bad then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, it's so interesting because it's one of the things that spoke to me during the ceremony was legacy of wellness. Like that was a quote that was said throughout that ceremony, legacy of wellness. And what I took that to mean, and basically Taraji P. Henson said it, she likes to start with this age group prior to them becoming parents, so that when they are parents, they will have the necessary tools to provide for their children so that we can break generational toxicity.
But I'm glad you said that, because you brought that word up, generational toxicity. We did a whole show kind of like about that before. So
Right.
let me just remind people what that's about real quick.
Right. So generational toxicity is basically, we learn from role models. So if my grandmother has toxic behavioral traits, she's going to pass that on to her daughter, which is, say, for instance, my mother. And without the proper tools to address those toxic traits are going to be displayed to me as the child. And then what happens is I'm going to utilize those toxic traits that have been passed down to me, and then I'm going to present them to my children. And then that's how it persists. It goes from the next generation to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And that is generational toxicity. Basically, it just persists from generation to generation to generation. How do you stop it? Sometimes you have to force yourself, once you get the help, force yourself not to engage in those behaviors. It's a choice. Seriously, you have to choose not to engage in certain toxic behaviors. And what you have to do is present yourself in your new chosen behavior and model that behavior with your children so that that toxicity is not there. So it's an effort that you have to do, almost every day, especially depending on what the toxic behavior is. It's sort of like the saying, which is so true: the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. That's with good stuff, that's with bad stuff, that's with harmonious things, that's with toxicity. So if you are a yeller, say for instance, if you like yelling, 9 times out of 10, your children are going to be ones that are yellers, or they're going to be ones that are kind of stonewalling, meaning that they kind of withdraw. And both of them are toxic.
See, that's the whole thing. It's like, one is getting people to recognize those patterns of toxic behavior in their own life around them. Oh, well, that was just normal. That's how everybody talk around me. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they'll say. And then getting them to want to change it for their kids because it's been ingrained so long. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Grandmother acted like that, the mother acted like that.
Yeah.
You done lived it your whole life. So now it's going to be extra hard, even once you do realize it's toxic, trying to still break those habits.
Right.
So that's a hard problem right there.
Right. And you said a key word, habit. It's your habitat. It's like an animal in the animal kingdom. What is their habitat? Their habitat is basically what they habitually do, what is habitually surrounding them. And as humans, it's the same thing. What habits do we have? What behavioral traits do we have? What is our habitat? Is our habitat in our household alcoholism? Is our habitat in our household violence, domestic violence, whatever it is? And then what we do is we learn from those behaviors. We learn from those things. And as a result of that, we grow up with it in us. And whenever we get upset or whatever, it comes out. Or it may not even be a thing of when we get upset. It just comes naturally. It's just there.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah. I mean, and we all have these things that we need to work through and, work on. But some are more detrimental than others, and more harmful than others.
Didn't your philosopher friend Will Smith say something about marriage being something about working on each other's unresolved
Yeah,
trauma, past trauma?
yes. That was,
Everybody has unresolved past trauma.
yes, we do. We definitely do. And like you said, it's about recognizing it, and not only recognizing it, but dealing with it and learning how to deal with it effectively with the proper tools. And again, that's why it's called Urban Tools for Change, because the truth of the matter is there are different tools that people in the suburbs versus the urban area will use. Different tools.
Yeah, because you have different environments and different habitats to dwell in. So
Exactly. So yeah. So it was it was gorgeous. My heart was so full. It really was.
and how did you feel when the choir started singing?
I thought it was going to be church up in there. I thought it was going to be church, because the truth of the matter is they said something, they sang a song, and we're going to play it a little later. But at the end of the day, sometimes you want to hear an encouraging word from your mother, an encouraging word from your father, an encouraging word from your friend, because sometimes it's just that word, that encouraging word that snaps you out of that depression, that snaps you out of something. But sometimes you have to encourage yourself when nobody's around, when your phone doesn't work, when all else fails. Sometimes you have to encourage yourself. Sometimes you have to say, I can do this. I will do this. I got this. That's just like when I went through my dissertation program. We had to take this 6-hour qualifying exam, 6 hours, 3 questions. And I had to encourage myself. Yes, I studied. Yes, I did. But I had to encourage myself. Now, I encourage myself with music. You want to know the song I used?
What was it?
Eminem. Lose Yourself.
Lose
Yourself.
Yeah, I know.
That song is powerful when you think of the words.
You the only one.
What?
Eminem loves you so much right now.
That song got me.
This black woman just like that is.
You better lose yourself. I had to lose myself. I had to write down. I had to lose myself.
He got one classic song. That's good.
Yes. I'm telling you. Have you really listened to the words of that song?
I know the song. He got one classic song. Eminem got one classic song. That's good.
That's it. I'm telling you, you got to lose yourself sometimes.
That's the classic. That's his classic.
It's a classic.
Because it has a lot of meaning outside of what he was just talking about. It's like Eye of the Tiger, you know what I mean?
It is, right.
It's like that.
He's like, you only have one shot.
Yeah.
One shot. And if you know you only have one shot, what are you going to do? Are you going to give up and fold? Are you going to do your darndest? You only have one shot to get this right. And baby, you better bring the fire, because at the end of the day, if you don't do it, you're done. You're toast. Kick rocks. You're gone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll have to have a whole different topic about mental health and music and stuff like that, because because I feel like the vast majority of the music is very toxic. Okay. I feel like the vast majority is teaching them bad habits and bad mental states to be in and all like that.
Well, that's why when we talked about the good and the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Essence Festival, that was one of the things that I thought was bad and ugly. The musical artists that they had up there. And especially with Janelle Monáe.
Janelle Monáe.
Oh, Janelle. I can never say her name right. What's her name?
Janelle Monáe.
Janelle Monáe exposing her breasts. Why are you laughing?
Because I'm sure it got a rise out of people. People, that was the highlight of her
that
show.
was not, it wasn't necessary.
It wasn't the place for it. It wasn't the place.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was not the place. I wish they would have just cut the lights off on her.
But you know what? But you know what? I don't know. This actually does have to do with mental health, and I know you can't speak about it too specifically and stuff like that because of personal reasons, stuff like that. But Lauryn Hill, boy, she came on the thing the other day because people were getting on her because she's always late to her shows.
Right.
And she said something like, "Y'all lucky I'm up here at all on this thing or whatever." And I feel like she's never really wanted to be up there. That's why she dresses like that. She doesn't want to be up there. And the whole experience for her is very toxic. She doesn't like performing, I don't think. But she has to do it, to keep her legacy and keep her money flowing and all that type of stuff. But like, there's a whole mental health.
You know what I think she should do?
What?
I think she should write a book.
Yeah. Or just do her concerts on like how Rihanna be doing it, like streaming.
I think she should write a book.
Yeah.
And I would read it. And now I have to say I'm reading Jada Pinkett Smith's book.
And how
every time I pick it up, I'm
no, don't say that. Don't say that.
I do. That's what happens to me. I'm like,
it putting you to sleep? For real? All that stuff she talk about is putting you to sleep?
Yes.
Huh.
Especially
maybe she need to do a video instead because she's a boring writer.
The only thing that was interesting was basically we have a lot of things in common.
Tupac, you just love Tupac?
No. No, she lived upstairs in the attic of her grandparents' house. So did I, my sister and I, my mom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they had the same upbringing.
Yeah, that. And then unfortunately, her grandmother died of bone cancer.
Oh, yeah.
My granddad died of bone cancer. Yeah. And there was another commonality trait. Well, she mentioned going to the skating rink that I used to go to in Temple Hills, Crystal Skate. So that was a little exciting seeing that.
Well, you said she grew up in like Baltimore or somewhere though, right?
Yeah, she grew up in Baltimore.
Yeah, that's not too far. That whole the DMV area.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I don't like that DMV.
For real? Everybody know it as a DMV. Everybody knows that.
You know why I don't like it?
Why?
Because when DC was really struggling and when we were predominantly Black, no one wanted to claim us.
Yeah. And I mean, DC
and
is
when
the
I say
highlight
claim us, and I'm gonna put this out there. These
now you like Sean saying stuff you don't need to be saying about that.
Put it like this. The Maryland people, like a lot of them from the neighboring county, like Prince George's County, they didn't want to affiliate or associate with us. They thought they were better than us.
Right. Well, DC has actually always been the star of that DMV area because of Howard and all that stuff too. And just, Baltimore was like popping a little bit, but it was always DC was the biggest part of that. Like,
Yeah.
That was the D in the DMV.
Yeah, that's why I say that's what I wrote when I saw Red Essence at my Hampton homecoming. The D in the DMV. I'm from, and people assume when I say DC, they assume that I'm from Maryland. I'm like, no, I am not from Maryland. I was born and raised in DC, born in DC General Hospital. They since knocked the hospital down, but I am true. Oh, guess what? I met at the ceremony. I had a wonderful conversation. His name is Layman Rucker.
Who's that?
He's an actor. He was in Greenleaf.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So you've seen his picture. You've seen him. We'll pull him up next week. Just a quick picture of him and whatever. Because he was also in the play that Hampton had, Streetcar Named Desire, during homecoming weekend, which was fantastic. He's an actor. I had no idea he was from DC. So we were talking and I said, I had no idea you were from DC. Because we always, it's one thing like when you meet someone from the area that you grow up with, there's like this commonality, like, oh my gosh. So he's like, you from DC? I was like, yeah. He's like, what part? Like testing me.
So it
I'm
depends
like,
on what part you from. It's like
yeah,
saying
I
you from
said
Philly.
Northwest,
What part of
Georgia
Philly you
Avenue.
from?
And then when I said Georgia Avenue, he was like, what part? I'm like, okay, Georgia Avenue does extend into Maryland. So that's another thing. Like, no, right across the street from the old Walter Reed. He's like, the old Walter Reed. I was like, they knocked down Walter Reed Hospital. He's like, they knocked it down. I was like, yes, they built condos. And
Yeah, okay.
so it was
See,
nice little.
look, I'm having to mute my mic because everybody's,
What?
generational toxicity.
Oh.
So that's what I'm
It's happening right now.
Right. Oh, that's what I'm listening
You're in the habitat in which
Right.
you are dwelling in.
Right.
Listen, you know what? While we're here, I have to say, I'm going to ask you a question, Curtis. For people that listen to my show outside of the United States, guess where the second largest population is that listens to Urban Tunes for Change or the Urban Suite?
What? Give me a hint. Give me one hint. Is it hot or cold?
It's hot.
Okay, like what? Africa?
No.
South America? Brazil?
No.
Mexico?
Australia.
You know,
Man, my Australian population. I'm like,
Australia.
Australia.
Maybe they
Big
like
ups
that.
to my Australian, the down under folks.
All right. Throw a shrimp
They're
on the
with
barbie
me
for us.
every single week. I don't know who you are. Drop me a line.
Shout out to Australia.
urbanfoodsforchange@gmail.com. Say hello, something, but every week they're faithful on those platforms. Every episode, every week, urbanfoodsforchange@gmail.com. The only thing is, Curtis, they can't see it because it's on Spotify. They on Spotify.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, urbantoolsforchange@gmail.com.
Yes. So Taraji P. Henson, God bless you, protect you. Seriously. Tracy J. Jenkins, God bless you. God protect you. You're doing an awesome work. Thank you to Kate Spade, New York, the collaborative effort. Thank you, Hampton University, for allowing them to come in and being responsive, heeding to the call, and wanting to better the experience of the students, because the goal of our president, he says he wants Hampton University to be the #1 student experience on the planet. On the planet. I think I added on the planet, but the #1 student experience. And I believe he's very passionate about that, and he's doing what he can to make that happen. And a part of that, according to his strategic plan, is bringing mental health issues to the forefront for students of Hampton University. And I applaud the president, President Darrell Williams. You know, my maiden name is Williams.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Maybe I related. But look, let's show them what you listened to at the thing at the presentation. Let's show them the choir. Yeah. So this is the Hampton University choir, and this is not all the fire that they can bring. They were a little subdued. So with that, we're going to close. But before we close, I just want to say, if you need assistance with finding, locating a Black therapist, you can go to the Boris L. Henson Foundation.org website, because it is available. They have different African-American Black therapists to choose from. So that's it, www.boris, Boris L. Henson is spelled HENSON Foundation, FOUNDATION.org.
BorisLHenson.org. Boris L. Henson Foundation.org. That's for my Spotify folks. That's for my iHeartRadio. That's for my Google, Amazon podcasts, all of my audio podcast platforms. That is available. I don't care where you live. Go to the website, support it, support their mission, support the work, and keep her up in prayer because she's doing a good, godly work. God bless them both. And on that note, I just want to say thank you for entering into the Urban Suite with me, where you laugh, learn, cry, and grow. Sometimes we have to encourage ourselves, as this song states. Good night. God willing, I will see you next week. Molly, take us away.
Love.